Welcome back to session 2 for the Introduction to Musicianship for worship leaders and musicians and worshippers. I'm hoping that this short course will help you just with the basics that everybody needs to know if you're going to work as part of a team, either in worship or playing in a band. And so this short course is aimed to help you have the basic nuts and bolts that everybody needs to know. So in this session, we're going to be looking at chords and melody, what works and what doesn't. And we talked in our last session, session 1, about what melody was. It was the working together of pitch and rhythm. And when you put pitch and rhythm together, you create melody. We also talked about harmony, and harmony is where we follow the shape of the pitch and rhythm, or the melody, and we start on a different note and we sing in harmony, that is two different notes at the same time. And that's really the definition of a chord. So in this session we're going to look at why melody and chords work together. Let's get started. So if you think about music in general, chords and melody work well together when they share pitch in common. There are some ugly sounds, of course, like when we have notes that clash with one another. They have an ugly sound. So they obviously don't work well together. And so what we want to do is understand how the pitch of two notes can work together in common. So where do we start? Well, the resting points, or the long notes in a melody, should be on a note from the accompanying chord. Now, if you're not sure what that means, let me show you again on the keyboard what a chord is. A chord is 3 notes, all separated by a step. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 3 notes together would make a C major chord. Or if we did the same thing starting here, that's a chord. And if we started this note here, G, so we skip and skip to make a 3-note chord. Those are some of the most common chords that you come across: C, F, and G. And actually you can make a chord anywhere. So let's start at A, or let's start at E. So chords are basically just 3 notes. Often they can be more than 3 notes, but certainly we start with 3 notes and they are played against a melody. And the way the melody works is when it's actually one of the notes of the chord. That'll become clearer as we go through this session. So the starting and ending pitch of a melody should be on a note from the accompanying chord. So if you're using this course to help you with your songwriting, when you play a chord, your starting note should be one of those 3 notes. So you could sing let's say this was our chord. Let's play it here. You can start it here. We can start it here. We can start it here. And you'll notice that it works because the pitch that I'm singing as a melody note is in the chord. So a melody and chord combined will sound wrong if the melody has few or no notes from the accompanying chord, and when the resting points, or the held notes, are not in that accompanying chord. So that's when it sounds bad. Let's say I played this chord and I sang a note that wasn't in the chord. La 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 la. Notice it just doesn't sound right. And the reason is because the notes I'm singing aren't one of those 3 notes in that chord. I was singing the notes, I'll show you on the keyboard. Here's the chord, but I was singing these notes. Notice it doesn't sound right because those notes are not in the chord. So that's just a basic understanding of the way harmony works. For harmony to work, the note that you're singing in the melody needs to be part of the chord that you are accompanying it with. So what is a chord? We've just been looking at a chord is 3 notes or more played together at the same time. Actually, harmony is just 2 notes played together at the same time, but a chord is usually 3 notes played together at the same time. On a guitar, you do it by making shapes and putting your fingers down on the strings, and what you're actually doing is you're creating notes that the guitar plays, and they form together in the same way as you just saw me do on the piano. There are some common chords, major, minor, and 7th chords that we play often, and if you're a guitarist, that's certainly the way you've learned. You would typically learn to play with chords first. Often we know how to play chords without even really knowing what they are. If you've been learning to play by ear, or someone's just taught you to play a few chords, then this theory should help you understand the reason they work. So let's take it a little bit further. How do we work out what's in a chord and how chords are built? Now, as we said in our first session, music is built on scales. So a scale, as we said, is a set of notes or pitches moving up in the alphabet by step. So in this case, you can see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and that would sound like this, which is the natural minor scale if we just use those notes. The musical alphabet, as we said in our last session, goes from A up to G, and then when we get past G, we start at A again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and so on, going up, or if we're going backwards, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, and then the next one backwards would be G, F, E, D, C, A, going down. G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, and so on. So a scale can start on any note, and it keeps on going until it arrives at the same letter name again. A C scale would start at C and go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it's from C to C we would call a scale. That's what it looks like, and that's why I use the ladder as an illustration. Each step on the ladder is a step in the scale. And chords are built on scales. It's the simplest way of thinking about it. The simplest chords are built on the ladder of notes using the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th note of the scale. So I've drawn for you there the D major scale, which is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. But in D major, we would actually have some other notes, F sharp and C sharp. But for now, let's just take D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Notice the first note is D. The second note is E, we skip it. The third note is F. The fourth note is G, we skip it. And the 5th note is A. So that's a D chord. Okay, so a D chord will have the pitches D, F, and A. What would the pitches for a G chord be, or an A chord? Let's work it out. A G chord would start on the note G. We would skip a note and go to B, and skip a note and go to D. So a G chord will have G, skip B, skip D. And an A chord would have the notes A, skip a note B, C, skip a note D. What's that top note going to be? So it's after D. If we think about our musical scale, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. We just keep stepping up the scale. So that's how chords are built on scales. We just take the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th note of the name of the chord we're starting with. So a D chord, start with D, D, skip a note F, skip a note A. Or if we're doing a G chord, G, skip a note B, skip a note D. Or if we're doing an A chord, A, skip a note C, skip a note E. Simple explanation, chords are built on scales. So let's have a look at an example of music here. So this is written on the staff, which we'll look at in future as well. But if you've been playing any music, you've probably come across the staff. We've got this little melody. Okay, so what chords could we play against that little melody? So we've already worked out that we've got the chords D, D, F sharp and A, G, G, B, D, and A, C sharp and E, built on the scale of D major. And we're trying to work out which of these chords will work. So, how do we do it? We start by recognizing the notes that we've got. We've got D, E, D, E, F, G, F, G, A, G, A. And to work out what chords will work, we look at the resting points in the song. And you see I've put them there in arrows. In other words, they're the main beats of the music. So, and the notes that I'm resting on are D, F, A. So the first question you ask is, on those main resting points, are there any chords that have all three of those notes? A D, an F, and an A. And of course we know that the D chord does have them: D, F sharp, and A. So we could use the D chord to accompany or to play against that melody. So we look for the resting points, and then we look at the start or the finishing pitch, and then we look in other places. So the other place we can look is at the end. So that last note there is an A. So is there another chord that we could finish at the end? We worked out that a D chord has all three notes, D, F sharp, and A. But is there another chord that we could use at the end? We've got an A and it's held for a long period of time. So we've got a D chord, D, F sharp, and A. G chord, G, B, D. Would that work? No, not in the chord. What about the A chord? A, C sharp, E. Alright, so we have a D chord. And an A chord. And that shows you just the basic way that melody and chords work together. We could use the A chord at the end. So, what does this mean for us? Well, whether you're trying to sing harmony, or whether you're trying to write a song, or whether you're just trying to understand music, you need to make sure that what you sing works with the chords that you're choosing. And what we mean by that is that the note that you're singing, or the pitch that you're singing, is in the chord that you're playing. And that's what we call harmony. So here's an idea. You could go away and work on this with an instrument. You could use a piano or you can use a guitar. Use an instrument and have a go at this. Play these chords, G, D, G, A, G, or if you're a little bit more advanced, D, E minor, B minor, A, and then improvise. Just sing, la, 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 and try and work out if you can make a tune that works against it. And the key is that you're looking for notes that are in the chord for you to make your resting points. Here would be a quick example. Here's our chords: D, G, A, G. So we already said that if we're singing in D, they're the notes of the chord. La, 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 la. They're all the notes of the chord. So I'm going to improvise a melody. It's got to start on one of those. La, 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 la. La, la, la. La, la, la. La, la, la. That was just using notes that work against the chords. So have a go at it yourself and see how you go. That's just a little bit of an introduction into chords and melody and what makes them work. I'll see you in the next video.